Well, Alison, obviously great news as far as you go. I'm sure to be told that it's going to be treasure trove. Take us through what has been found.
We've had 2 finds that have been declared treasure trove, both from different periods of Manx history. The first one, the earliest one, is this piece of Viking Age hack silver, as it's called. It's basically a piece of what would have been originally an arm ring that would have come around here and would have been worn on the wrist. The percentage of silver in that is 75 to 80% silver, so you know it's a high class item really, and these would have been worn to not only display the wealth of the person who's wearing it, but also they could have been used in larger financial transactions. For example, rather than counting out lots and lots of silver pennies, you could just take a bit off your bracelet and use that for payment. That dates anywhere from 960 to 1030 AD, so you know, right in the proper Viking age for the Isle of Man.
What do you think the history of that was? Was it, do you think, lost, that one, or was it actually put in the ground for safekeeping?
The part of the definition of treasure trove is that it was deliberately hidden. If the coroner had decided it had been lost originally, it wouldn't be classed as being treasure trove. Treasure trove is something that has been deliberately hidden, has no current owner, and is made of gold or silver. So we think with this particular piece, because it's such high quality silver, it was deliberately hidden. We've got quite a number of Viking Age, especially silver hoards from the Isle of Man so far, and this fits in really well with the other evidence that we've got of wealth burying for safety from that period.
So someone comes along with their metal detecting unit, they find it, they very correctly report it, and then you've obviously got a great relationship with these people now, I understand, that they will feel free to chat to you about it because they know that they're helping you, and also they do get some benefit out of this, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, if you talk to the metal detecting guys, you know that they know their stuff. They don't need me to tell them what they found. Most of the time, they'll ring me up and say, "I found a piece of, you know, 10th century Viking silver," and for them it's the thrill of the find. You know, same for me. It's knowing that you're only the second or third person to have handled that since it went in the ground over 1,000 years ago. So the metal detecting guys are really good. You know.
And they get some money, do they?
In the case of treasure trove, such as these 2 cases, providing it's been reported promptly and everything else has been done properly, which of course in both these cases it has, then the finder is entitled to a reward which is equivalent to the full current market value of the objects they've found.
Well, that's fantastic. Now, of course, you get 2, don't you? Going through the courts yesterday. Tell us about the other one, which is obviously lots and lots of bits of silver, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess this one is almost more like you sort of typical silver treasure hoard that people think of. I guess it's 66 silver coins, all pennies. They're from different places. There were some minted in England, some in Ireland. We've got some coins that were minted in Scotland. And they all date to periods of mid 1200s to mid 1300s AD. So, you know, a good 200 or 300 years later than the Viking Age, but still, you know, they're ancient coins. Around about this time on the Isle of Man, the political situation was an absolute nightmare. The place must have felt very, very insecure. It was very unstable. Norse Viking kingship had ended in 1266. The island had come under Scottish rule, but because of the key geographical positioning of the Isle of Man, it's always been the same. You know, we were a really sort of a good place to have from both Scottish and English point of view. So we to and froed between being under Scottish rule and English rule.
There's a lot of pillaging going on. Was there people stealing things?
Yeah, I mean, we have the chronicles of the Kings of Man in the Isles. You know, they report raids actually from Ireland on Rushen Abbey, and a lot of the monastic silver was taken then. But this sort of period is the other period that we get the main hoard deposition. We've had other coin hoards from this period, so people on the Isle of Man were obviously feeling vulnerable, you know.
And clearly this was buried again then for safekeeping.
Absolutely, yeah. You know,
unfortunately, they never came back for it.
No, they never got back to reclaim it.
And what can you tell us about? Was it all found in a very centralised area, or was it scattered a bit.
It was scattered a wee bit, not too much, because of the sort of similar condition of all the coins and the similar date, and they were found in a fairly discrete area. We know they are all part of the same hoard, but they weren't buried in a very small area of ground. What the finder did find as well are bits of pieces of copper alloy, which we think may have been a vessel. So whether that might have been something that these coins were put in, we don't know. That's just guesswork at the moment, but we need to look a bit more at that. But they were dispersed slightly because in the past that area has been ploughed, so the ploughs, obviously just clipped them and spread them over.
Now the Crown gets control of this. Does that mean the UK sort of thing, or do you keep them here? How does it work?
We up until about 40 years ago, if something was declared treasure trove, it belonged to the British Crown, and more often than not, it would go over to the British Museum or a museum in the UK. We do have some of the collections, some of Manx material in the Scottish collections, but ever since 1969, the Manx Museum has a preemptive right, which basically means although any treasure trove declared is still owned by the British Crown, the Manx Museum gets the right to keep it here and keep
get
it
first dibs.
Well, yeah, essentially, to keep it here, and they sort of become part of the Manx National Collections.
Will this be going on show eventually then?
Yeah, I hope so. We've got a few more steps to go through before we get to that. As you can see, these coins haven't been cleaned at all yet, but the definition is very good. So we've been able to identify them and get them identified without cleaning them, and we'll look at perhaps cleaning them in the future, but certainly we'd like to put them on display at some stage so people can have a look for themselves and see what's coming up.